coming home, but the Falcons going down to Brisbane 113.93. For Falcons coach Ken Cole, it's not the start to the year he wanted, with Tom Curry, one American import, already back in the States. I asked Ken during the week why this was so.
Well, disappointing from the point of view that we had hoped we would get it right first time up, and he showed a lot of signs of being a very talented player. But he was convinced in his own mind that his knee was bad and that it wasn't going to stand up to the rigours of an NBL season. And I think once that's embedded in a player's mind, it's very difficult to change.
Ken, also your second recruit, Greg Lazard, has had a bit of a checkered time trying to settle in with the Falcons.
He has. He's done very well for us on the court, and he's got 22 or 23 rebounds a game, and if anybody can maintain that, of course, they'd lead the league. But he has had some assimilation problems off the court, and these kids come from a totally different background, and all their friends are black, and the environment that they grow up in is black, and then they come here and it's all white. The difference with Greg and some of the other kids that come down here is that he's fairly much of a loner. So most of the players that come tend to just go out in groups. Greg tends to go out by himself when he goes out, and it's more difficult. But I think he's starting to settle down now.
Curry's going to be replaced by James Bullock, a very, very good player who's had NBL experience.
Well, James Bullock, we may get really lucky, because Bullock was the player that I went after heavily last year, and I couldn't track him down. And when I finally did find James, I'd already contracted another 2 players, so I offered him a position with the Hunters on the basis that, well, I signed him to both groups on the basis that he would be available should I decide to make a change. And he did say to me right at the start, and the people representing him, that James will destroy Curry. And I said, well, he'll have the opportunity to prove it, and if he proves it to me, then I'll make the adjustment, obviously, for the team. So he's got the chance easier.
Okay, the third year that you've been at the helm, first year you took them to the finals, last year was a bit of a disappointing year. What's in shape for 1990?
Well, when we decided to go with this policy of young talent and try and improve them sufficiently enough to turn ourselves into a powerhouse for a lot of years, Basil Sellers said to me, do you feel that we can get to the finals in 3 years' time with this policy of youth? And I said, well, I'd be very hopeful we can get there in 2. He said, well, 3, and I'll be very happy, because if you can get there in 3 with this team, you'll be there for 10. And this is the second year, and I'm hopeful that we can take that step. But from our owner's point of view, if we can make good solid progress this year and be there next year, we'll have laid the foundations to be... We're still so young, and we can be powerful for another decade.
So the youngsters coming through, James Carr, Neil Turner, Peter Hill, these players you're going to rely heavily on this year?
Oh, yes. I mean, Peter Hill, Peter Harvey will certainly be required to do a major job, and they've done very well in the pre-season for us. Neil Turner is starting to make tremendous progress, I think, forward. James Carr's made a lot of progress, but he's still got a lot of rough edges. He's got as much talent as any straight 6'8" kid in the country. Funnily enough, he's a Newcastle sort of 6'8" that can run, jump and shoot. I need him to bang a few more heads, but no, the youngsters are coming on very. I think we've got 5 outstanding young players, and even Mike Johnson's still got, you know, the best 5 or 6 years at least of his basketball in front of him. So it's the critical error is our Americans. They must be able to negate the other Americans. If they can do that, then we'll surprise a lot of people.
Every team has a goal for a season. What's the Falcons' goal for 1990?
I really want our goal to be to make the finals, because I think with the talent that we've got, and watching how we played in the United States, particularly against Alabama, that is still figuring in the finals in the United States, we know that we can play with anybody in the country. So, but you've got to get there first, and it's the consistency that you need to make finals.
And the Falcons open their campaign at home against Eastside Melbourne next Saturday night. Last night, the trial matches, Brisbane 113 defeated Newcastle 93. James Bullock had a pretty good game by all reports. And Sydney 98 defeated the Gold Coast 96. That match was played at the Sydney Entertainment Centre, the first match that the Sydney Kings have played there, and that's going to be their home base for 1990.